Yay.
Good morning. It's 8:38, Finger Lakes Morning News. Time for our regular visit with Seneca County Cooperative Extension and the boss man, Abe Botters here. Good morning.
Good morning, Ted.
We're going to run down a couple of events, and then we're going to meet by phone some interns doing some research into climate change and its effect on agriculture. So I guess first thing is I assume that it was a successful run at the Seneca County Fair.
It was a successful run at the fair. We had a great time. The weather cooperated very well, and we had a great Celebrate Seneca County Ag Night. Went great, and the dairy bar did well. And so lots of 4-H'ers exhibiting their stuff. It was a great fair. One
of these days, I'm going to get down from the stage at the demo derby and go see the rest of the fair. I've not been able to do that yet.
Yeah, it's a good time.
So what? I know you've got a couple of things coming up as well.
Just very quickly, because I want to get to Jake and Emma. But on the 17th, Thursday the 17th, from 6 to 8, if you've noticed at your farm stands and other places, tomatoes are coming in like crazy. We're going to have a food preservation workshop on tomatoes. A couple of our master food preservers will be working to show people how to can, freeze, dehydrate, all sorts of, you name it, to do with tomatoes, and you can call the office, 315-539-9251. You can email us, seneca@cornell.edu, or you can get on the website and sign up for that. That's $10, but we'll have you'll have hands-on demonstration recipes, produce, and all that kind of stuff to try out. And the only other plug I wanted to do this morning was next week on the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday is Empire Farm Days, and we will be out at the Cornell building with our Seneca County root beer floats.
Oh, man.
Got to get there at 10 when we start them, and we usually sell out of those pretty quickly. But all sorts of displays. You can find out all the different things that are going on with the College of Arts and College of Agriculture and Life Sciences at Cornell. We also will have the dairy bar out there as well, with the 4-H earning some money for all of their programming. So please visit us at Empire Farm Days. It's always a great time.
All right, Finger Lakes News Radio is going to be out there. Actually, I'll be on vacation, but we'll be out there a couple of the days. Now, just real quick about canning, is there kind of an upsurge in interest in that? I mean, when I grew up a part of my time with my grandparents, very old school. And I mean, we, would go down to the basement and get one of those mason jars all the time. Is there more of an upsurge in interest in that nowadays?
There is definitely. We've certainly seen it. More of an upsurge of people interested in going back to that, taking advantage of all the great produce that we have in the Finger Lakes, and you can't beat how that tastes coming out that you've canned it yourself versus the stuff that you can get, in the middle of winter. That's tomato that you can't really recognize as a tomato. It's a lot better to take it out of that mason jar.
All right, introduce our interns and explain the work they've been doing.
Alrighty, we have sitting in the office in Ithaca, we have Emma Banneker and Jake Pirro, and they have been working with us this summer as part of the Cornell Cooperative Extension and the College of Life Sciences and the College of Human Ecology have a program where it provides summer internships that the interns from Cornell work with a faculty member or an office on campus, and then they also work with a local association. And there's at least 30 across the state that do that. And so when we were looking for what would be helpful, both to campus but to Seneca County as well, we were looking, and I'm working with the Climate Change Institute at Cornell, and we said, well, what if we get some climate change interns, some students that are interested in looking at what the local effects are, and I will stop there and let them take over.
Well, Emma and Jake, welcome to you both. Good to have you with us.
Thanks for having us.
So let's just start off with what have growers been seeing? What kind of effects are you documenting in your work?
Well, of course, last summer there was the big drought that was really hard on growers, and this summer they're dealing with all kinds of extreme rain events, so sometimes they can't even go out and plant their crops. Of course, certain farmers are doing very well with the rain, but other ones are completely devastated. We spoke to some beef farmers last week who said the extreme rain and so much moisture is worse for them than having a drought like last summer.
Yeah, so like Jake said, we're seeing farmers that are really enjoying all the rain. And then some farmers that are experiencing bacterial infections in their plants, slugs, other pests like that that are increasing with all this rain.
How do you go about demonstrating that these effects are climate change and not the everyday cycles of weather? You have cold years, you have warm years. What's the research process to determine that this is a man-made thing that's happening?
So what we've seen is that there's an increase in intensity and frequency in these events. So instead of them being regular, cyclical, we're seeing that we're having more of them and they're more intense.
And the way the climate system works is that the climate change is making the northern hemisphere closer in warmth to the equator, so storms move slower. So what's happening is you'll get really long periods of dryness and then really long periods of wetness. That's like why we had a whole summer of dryness last summer and now a whole period of rain this summer.
So explain some of your methods. What are you, obviously you're talking to growers and documenting what they're telling you. Are you doing any sorts of measurements or observations? Just explain some of the kind of nuts and bolts of the work.
Okay, so here at the Institute, we have two major things that we use with farmers. One of them, we have decision tools. So these are tools that we've created to kind of help farmers anticipate extreme weather, drought, soil-related problems, things like that. And then we also have extension specialists from here at Cornell or around in the area that specialize in helping farmers adapt and be resilient to this sort of stuff.
And here at the Institute, what we do is we go out to various rural areas and conduct focus groups to hear what farmers are experiencing and what they want us to do. So if you can contact us, if you're a grower listening, at climatesmartfarming.org, you can post on the forum about something that's concerning you about the changing climate, and then we can maybe produce one of those tools that Emma mentioned to help you with whatever problem you may be having.
Are you finding any particular types of producers that are most affected, or corn or dairy, or is it kind of an across-the-board effect that you're seeing?
Well, I know definitely apple growers. We have early frost, late frost, and that's really taking a toll on the crops. Also vineyards. I know with extreme winters and things like that, we have growers putting in air circulators to get rid of the frost because it's damaging the crops. Anything else?
Also, some crop growers are really being impacted by the rain. So these are the ones who are getting the slugs and are having things like beans totally reaped by the pests.
So what kinds of tools can you provide growers? How do they cope? What kind of, do they have to make changes in practices, or what can they do to mitigate these effects?
Well, the first thing that they can do is go on our website again and look at the tools we have. We have 4 available right now, and they are for the grape and apple hardiness, so that those fruit growers that Emma mentioned can really anticipate certain frosts and other problems that may attack their farm. And then there's also a growing degree day calendar, so any farmer really can anticipate when pests are going to reach their operations, and this can go for crop farmers, it can go for livestock farmers, really anybody impacted by pests, which is every farmer essentially. And then there's also a precipitation calendar, which can anticipate if there's going to be a drought or if there's going to be extreme rain. So in those cases, we encourage farmers invest in irrigation for drought and tile drainage for extreme rain.
Yeah, and in addition to those tools, we have a multimedia section of our webpage, which is where we post a bunch of videos of interviews with farmers from around this area to kind of engage other farmers in communicating and figuring out what problems are reaching which farmers and what tools are they using, what practices are they using to adapt to extreme weather, and how can they build off of that. So that's another aspect of our tools.
And so what is that website?
That's climatesmartfarming.org.
Okay. Now, I was talking mostly about growers. Is there a climate-related effect, for example, dairy producers or meat producers? I would imagine that the weather affects the feed crops that they use. So are those kinds of producers affected as well?
Absolutely. They definitely benefit from our growing degree day calendars because the pests affect their feedlot and, of course, their cows. Last week, we did a video segment like one of the ones that Emma was mentioning on a beef producer who is giving his cows different feed so that they are more efficient and therefore produce less methane, which is a greenhouse gas and contributes to climate change. So here we have a win-win where the cow is more efficient, it grows more, it lives shorter, so it produces less methane, and over the course of its lifetime, it digests more efficiently, so it produces more methane in that period, or less methane, excuse me. So there's all kinds of tools that all farmers can use to reduce their carbon footprint and make sure that they're more efficient and resilient in the face of climate change.
And I know, Ted, just to jump in, dairy farmers, the cows don't like to produce lots of milk when it's hot, and so there's all sorts of new technology in terms of cooling milking parlors and their stalls and stuff that you have to make sure that the cows are comfortable that are giving milk for the dairy industry.
We got a couple of minutes left. Where do the two of you want to go career-wise? Is this work something that sparked an interest that you might do it as a career at some point?
Yeah. I'm a senior. This is going to be my last year at Cornell, so I really have to start thinking about that. And right now I'm between either a policy graduate school program or a law school program with regards to environmental policy or law. And I think it's really important for anybody, those types of to get out and speak to those who would be affected by any decision that policymaker or lawmaker make, so that they know what farmers need and what concerns they have, and the bottom line really is what their value is and how to make it profitable and sustain their livelihood. So I want to make sure that I have this down like the back of my hand when I'm in that position.
Yeah, my interests are a little different from Jake. I'm really interested in food systems, and understanding agriculture is kind of that foundation of that. I'm interested in going maybe to business school, working in the food industry, and understanding how farmers work, how agriculture impacts our food system is really important. So I also have a minor in climate change, so I'm hoping to integrate all of those into what I do in the future, hopefully involving agriculture and food.
All right, remind us that website one more time.
ClimateSmartFarming.org. No dashes, no spaces, no underscores, just ClimateSmartFarming.org.
All right, well, thank you both for sharing your time and your research with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks very much. Boy, it's terrific to have bright young people. We always talk about, like when we do the 4-H segments,
right,
that you get a different set of eyes, and I mean, they'll come up with ideas that nobody else has even thought of.
They've done a great job, and it shows that the whole point of the cooperative extension system of bringing those resources from Cornell and being able to put them into a local area, but it's it's an Ivy League institution. You get Ivy League students. I know, I've worked at Hobart and William Smith and other private liberal arts colleges, and those students are good. And not to take anything away from them, but wow, the Cornell students I've worked with, just undergraduates, have been incredible.
All right, ClimateSmartFarming.org. And Abe, thanks as always.
Thanks very much, Ted.
We appreciate the visit. It's 8:52 now.